Fort Myers Beach Marine Environmental Resource Task Force Advisory Board. It's Wednesday, June the 12th, 2024. Please all stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's start with the roll call. Dave, since you're virtual.
Mr. Chair, you need a motion to let him be on by virtue.
Right, I asked about that, whether or not that was a point of order. I'll entertain a motion to allow Dave to join us by Zoom call.
So moved.
Yep, I motion.
Your motion. Motion by Rob, second by Bill. Anybody opposed? Seeing no opposition, the motion carries unanimously. So let's start with you then, Dave.
Thank you, everyone, and here.
Okay, Jen?
Here.
Bill here.
Rose Larkin, present.
Robert Howell here.
Steve Johnson here.
Mary Rose Spalletta, present.
Chad Sheets, environmental staff for the town.
John R. King, liaison.
Okay, all here and accounted for. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I second it.
Any opposition? Nope, seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes?
I wanted one tiny correction. A small addition, actually. And it's actually under the nominations for the Murph Award. Beach Talk Radio was nominated, and I had brought up that they had just received the award last year in 2023. And I just wanted to make sure that was added, because if anyone was reading this, it was like we skipped over them. Or we decided not to award them the Murph Award, and it's like they had just received the Murph Award last year.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve?
Chairman Johnson, I had a question on the minutes as well. Number one, on the motion where we had a, dissenting vote, there was some clarity, as I'm looking for some clarity as to whether that motion included any structure in the EC zone that had been damaged or destroyed by the storm, or if it was any new structure, or both. It was my understanding that it was any structure, and it wasn't clear in the minutes.
I understand what you are bringing up. I don't recall that verbiage in the minutes itself.
Well, I distinctly remember all of us on the vote, and there were some members that said it should not count for pre-existing structures, and other members that said it should be all structures, hence the split vote, and it doesn't specifically state that in the minutes. So I was just wondering, because that was obviously the reason for the split vote.
Yes, actually, that was asked when I brought the recommendations to the town council by Council Karen Woodson, as whether or not it applied to existing grandfathered structures. And I was going to bring that back and clarify it at this meeting under members' reports. But as I can recall, and please everybody pipe in if they can recall the conversation, but I believe, at the time I was unsure, but I believe we had discussed whether, basically that there should be a moratorium really on building in the EC zone was our recommendation, more or less. Whether it's grandfathered or not, I think my position at that time, and it remains, is that the grandfathering aspect of the EC zone is exactly that. That it's non-compliant, but it is grandfathered until something changes. I think the people that actually, the forefathers that actually wrote the ordinance and grandfathered, made an exception for those property owners at that time, was under the assumption that once it passed, or if something happened or it was destroyed, that the idea would be that you wouldn't replace it in the EC zone. And that's my personal take on the matter. I did want to clarify that, so I don't know if this is the best time to do it.
Well, it's our minutes, so I guess that's the best time to clarify it, because we're voting on it, in my opinion. So do the minutes reflect that we are stating that nothing gets rebuilt, or in the EC zone?
Shall we, I would actually propose that we clarify it, vote, and recommunicate to the town council. Any opposition to that?
That's probably the best way to go.
Okay, so for clarification, the chair actually made that motion. So I would,
Can you read the verbiage again, please?
yeah, I'm looking for it here. Chair Johnson moved to recommend to the town council to follow the purpose of the comp plan and the land development code and discourage supporting variances for construction in the EC zone. Seconded by MRF member Spalletta. Motion carried 5-2 with MRF members Newsbaum and Altoff dissenting. However, I would like to make a point of order here, clarify a point of order. I believe, Member Newsbaum, you need to recuse yourself from the vote. You needed to recuse yourself vote when it happened. You had an active variance application as the acting president of the HOA for a variance in the EC zone. And from where I sit, because I saw the LPA meeting where you went and asked for the variance, I think as a point of order, you shouldn't have voted on this to begin with, and I believe that variance was already granted. So from that perspective, I suppose you can vote. I would suggest you could vote on this round.
Thank you.
So, to move this along,
Yeah, I'd like to say that I believe going forward, it's best practices that we should be encouraging, and certainly we don't need anything else built in that area of the beach. So going forward, whether someone thought they had the okay or didn't, I would advise our council to not allow any building in that EC zone.
yeah, I think from a property perspective, every property owner that had a grandfathered structure understood that it was in fact grandfathered. So I would be of also the opinion that we would, again, certainly we can't make law, but we would recommend that there be no building whatsoever in the EC zone, especially based on the information we've learned about the resilience, the information based on our resilience forum, where we already have by far a very narrow bridge and really not enough of a barrier for protection on the island.
So the EC zone is basically the entire beach though, right?
Chad, can you actually define the EC zone?
So the EC zone is the environmentally critical zone. It is delineated by the 1978 CCCL.
Wasn't that supplanted by the 91 CCCL?
Right, so the 1978 CCCL is no longer a CCCL for the state. We just use it as a zoning line. But the 1991 CCCL is what the state uses for the CCCL division of FDEP to regulate coastal construction.
All right, so it's the 91 is that we're worried about.
No.
It depends on what you mean by what we're worried about. So both of those lines have different meanings for different agencies, including the town and the state.
All right, so the town is using 78 or 91?
The town is using the 1978 for the EC zoning line. We use the state's triple CL for other portions of the code.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on this clarification? Okay, well, I'll restate the motion then. The motion is to recommend to the town council to follow the purposes of the comp plan and the land development code and discourage supporting variances for any construction, any and all construction in the EC zone. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Second by Spalletta. Any and all, any and all. Okay, let's bring it to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Rose?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, vote carries 5-2, and we'll add that to the a recommendation, again, a clarification, point of clarification to the town council. Thanks for bringing that up. That was on the list, Dave, so thank you. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion now to approve the minutes as modified, as amended.
Yeah, I will move to approve the minutes as corrected and amended.
And a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Spalletta, second by Larkin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Carries 7-0. So, Chad, there's no signatory page. Are these the minutes now? Do they require?
I didn't get the usual from Miss Heva, so I can, if you want to sign that one, and if it passes her inspection, we'll keep it. Otherwise, we'll return it for additional ink.
That reminds me, looking back on the website, it looks like the February minutes weren't finalized either.
Second by Larkin. 7-0. Okay. Administration, I love it. Okay. Having approved the previous meeting minutes, let's go to public comment. I see we do have some guests today. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we will move along. Current items. First on the list is beach grooming and mechanical raking. This is off our initiative list. I think the purpose this was added was, let's see here, was to review the process and permitting of beach raking, the ordinances of beach raking, the DEP permit for each beach raking, and compliance with beach raking. The next steps were to review the land development code and permitting compliance, and the notes for this initiative were to communicate and educate. So we attempted to have a member of the FDEP, Triple CL group on this call. Apparently it fell through. I don't think the link was sent in time. So there's a couple ways we can do this. I think the approach, the chair's approach to this was to allow the DEP to explain to us a little bit about mechanical raking and grooming, what's involved with permitting, and what aspects are to compliance and non-compliance. Also to review the town ordinance for raking and grooming, and again, determine what's required there with regards to compliance and non-compliance, and determine to have a discussion to educate, and hopefully I'll be on the same page moving forward. I don't think there was any initiative to recodify. I know in 2013 it was recodified, the grooming and mechanical raking portion of the town's ordinance. So without the FDEP here, who I thought would be a great, the idea is to get everybody in the same room to determine what's up and what's not. Is this a agenda item you'd like to move forward to, or shall we reschedule with the FDEP to attend the meeting?
Without the information from them, do you think we are going to be able to add anything new to the already existing arguments and information out there?
Well, go ahead.
I don't understand. Why are they not here again? What happened?
They were to be here in person last meeting, and our meeting was canceled. We were bumped, and we're not able to reschedule with them for that month.
Okay.
So we rescheduled for this month, and Ginger Shira was to attend, and I believe just received the link maybe based on my email, maybe 5 minutes before the meeting. So, and she did send apparently an email to me as well telling me she didn't receive it, so.
And she was going to drive here from,
No, she was going to
she was going to be,
join by Zoom.
I see.
So my guess.
I'm sorry, can you guys not hear me on the call?
Oh, no, are you on?
Here she is.
Ginger Shira is here, actually, yes.
Now we hear.
Well, isn't that great? I had no idea. There's no image or anything of you, so we had no idea you were
Welcome.
on. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So I guess we won't reschedule then?
No, I'm here, I'm ready to talk. If you guys wanted, I thought there were some questions and stuff, so I'm ready to respond. for sure.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you. As an introduction, Ginger, you are the Environmental Administrator for the Beachfield Services, Office of Resilience and Coastal Protection for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Is that correct?
Hi, good morning, that's right. My name is Ginger Shira, like I said. I do work in the CCCL program. I am the Environmental Administrator, as you said, over the Beachfield Services section. I supervise the Beachfield inspectors. Some of you may be familiar with the inspector for your area is Kelly Kramer. And yes, I was supposed to be here in person a few weeks ago and it got rescheduled. So I'm joining remotely from Tallahassee.
Well,
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for joining. So you did hear sort of the overview of what the reason it's on the Marine Environmental Resource Task Force agenda. And so let's move forward. So based on the introduction, is there an overview you can give us really about, I believe you have it's 8 elements for FDEP raking compliance. Is there something?
Yeah, that's right. Do you guys have a copy of that there? Or I can maybe share my screen and maybe you can see it.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, I do have a copy.
He says we can share the screen.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Yeah, if we can get that.
Share the
that'd be
screen would be great.
awesome. Perfect, I see it's coming up there on the wall. Great, so yeah, these are our standard beach cleaning permit conditions for all counties. Like you said, there's 8 of them. I won't read them all to you, but we can go through them quickly here. Number 1, obviously during turtle nesting season, everything has to be, as far as beach cleaning, has to be done during daylight hours. Number 2, again, during turtle nesting season, the permittee, whoever is obviously receiving this permit, is responsible for ensuring that the daily survey has already been completed before any beach cleaning is to take place. Number 3, in the event that that doesn't happen, we have the authority to call off all beach cleaning on that beach for 65 days or November 30, whichever is earlier. Number 4, all turtle nests left in place shall be marked with a circle of tape. I'm sure you guys are familiar with these on the beaches there. Of course, no cleaning is allowed in that area. Number 5, in the event that those are lost for any reasons, no cleaning can take place until the permit holder has returned and identified that nest and restored those markers. Number 6, in order to avoid adverse impacts, you can't penetrate more than 2 inches into the beach. Tire pressure has to be less than 10 psi. We limit the rake size or the cleaning apparatus size to something that does not penetrate more than 2 inches into the beach, like I said, and we do not allow front or rear mounted blades or box blades. We don't allow burial, number 7. And yeah, number 8, the final one is to avoid vegetation by 10 feet. So these are pretty standard. These are pretty self-explanatory. These are given on every permit that's issued. In addition to this, there are some other best management practices that are available when you do obtain the permit that we'll provide you. And we haven't really talked about the process yet, but I know that was one of the questions here. So unless you guys had more questions, I can just go ahead and get into that.
Sure.
Okay, great. Going to share a different screen with you. So as I indicated earlier, we do have a field inspector for this area, Kelly Kramer. I think Chad is probably very familiar with her. Maybe some of you others are. You can always reach out to her for a field permit to do beach cleaning, but we also have a portal, the DEP business portal, that you can go online and get a beach cleaning permit without contacting an inspector or me or a person. It's all like a self-service kind of. So let me pull that up for you guys. And I don't want to go through the process because it'll create a new permit, but I do want to show you the kind of information that we ask for. So I will do that. So this is the beach cleaning questionnaire that you will see when you apply for a beach cleaning permit. Again, very self-explanatory here. If you know the range monuments, if you don't, we have that information on our website, of course. So basically, we don't want to know where you're going to be cleaning and what you're going to be using to clean it with and when. So pretty self-explanatory, like I said. I think I'll probably just stop now and let you guys ask any specific comments or questions.
Ginger, are there any restrictions on the frequency of the raking? Is it a
only
once
that they're done
daily
within
thing?
daylight
or-
hours.
It's whatever the permit holder feels is necessary?
Right, you know, if there's a nest or there's a nesting turtle in the area, there's situations, you know, that may halt beach cleaning. But generally speaking, no, we don't enforce any kind of limits as to how many times a day.
And the raking never includes the rack, that's my understanding?
That's right. Yes, that's right.
And how close may a permitted raker come to the rack?
We advise them to stay 10 feet from the vegetation line.
From the vegetation line, how about the
Rack line?
rack line? How close can you come to a rack line?
I don't know that we have a specific number.
Just as
For
long
that.
as you don't go over it.
Right.
Yeah, the town ordinance requires a 10-foot, distance from the rack line. Just as a point of clarification for the members here today.
Oh, that's in our town ordinance, Steve?
That's correct, yeah.
What about raking and distance in and around these new sand berms before they're actually planted dunes while they're just piles of sand? What are the regulations and restrictions around those?
I think it would revolve around the permit and the permit holder. If there's vegetation that's been planted,
There
course, that would-
hasn't been. Ginger, maybe I can clarify. So as part of a sand haul project, a FEMA granted, we received a FEMA grant to build a berm, emergency berm, for basically a 5-year storm with an elevation of, I think, to top off at about 6 feet above sea level. So the dune, this berm is probably, it varies in height above grade, but, 2 to 3 feet, 4 feet maybe in some spots. So it's a berm, it's unvegetated at this point. Is that considered a dune? Is it a berm? Is it allowed to be raked? I mean, there's a question on our beach here of whether or not that's allowed to be raked.
I think from a compliance standpoint, we would consider that to be temporary and would not pursue it or look at it as a permanent dune.
Okay, so that you're allowed to rake it.
Wouldn't say you're allowed to rake it, but I would say that we wouldn't pursue enforcement against someone that was,
Okay, well,
because it's
the
not the
same.
dune.
yeah, good. Yeah, that's a big one, so thank you for answering that.
The answer was he doesn't pursue enforcement?
That's
That's correct. That
my
It's not allowed,
understanding.
but there wouldn't be enforcement.
But it's not advised, agreed?
That's right. If we knew that it was happening, we wouldn't permit it specifically. Do you understand? Like if we knew that this was going to happen, we wouldn't say, yeah, sure, here's your permit. But if there was an existing permit and then the sand was dumped and then someone raked over it, I would not pursue enforcement in that
it-
specific.
It's not to be treated like a dune where you got to stay 10 feet away or anything like that.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Right, Chad, maybe you can add some clarification. Was there a FDEP permit pulled for the FEMA berm? I don't know. I
The
mean,
town-
It's not a rhetorical question.
Yeah, the town doesn't rake. So I did not pull any
No,
raking.
it's just for the placement even, correct? Any construction within the triple CL usually requires a FDEP permit?
So to construct the berm
Right.
was under the EFO issued by the governor.
Okay, so the answer is no, there wasn't an FDEP permit.
We were operating under the authorization of the emergency order.
Okay, so no, there wasn't.
The EFO is the permit.
Okay, so there wasn't. Yeah, so, okay, so that wasn't a requirement, is what I'm trying to get to. Yes or no? Question. I've got a question for you. What's the policy from the FDEP for raking, mechanical raking of the beach from the water edge to the ECL line, which is state-owned property? Does that require a special permit?
It doesn't require a special permit, but it does require authorization through state lands, which will be part of the permitting process. We will obtain that. We will help in obtaining that.
So without that authorization, then it's non-compliant?
That's right.
Okay, that's a good question.
Ginger, authorization through whom? I missed that.
State lands.
State lands?
State land. That's right. Through DEP, state lands.
And that would include any platted properties, state properties on the beach, correct?
Right. Correct.
That it has to be authorized by the state lands.
That's right.
All right, thank you.
So you're saying from the water line to the ECL is state land?
That's correct. Right. Right. And just for a point of clarification, the ECL line runs from roughly Bowditch down to Lanark or Flamingo. Is it Lanark? And south of that, there is no erosion control line. Is that correct, Chad?
More or less correct.
Yeah.
The ECL may run a little bit further. I can't remember which one, if it runs a little bit, if it's the critically eroded designation that runs a little bit further, or the ECL. But I think you're right, it's the ECL that stops at Lanark, and maybe the critically eroded portion may continue a little bit, or vice versa.
Flamingo, okay. So what, I don't think beach raking, Ginger, I don't mean to be words in your mouth, isn't really highly enforced, but how does the FDEP manage non-compliance? If there are
Well,
complaints?
I certainly don't mean to insinuate that it's not enforced. We work really closely with FWC. Actually, the permit holders are our eyes and ears. I only have one inspector for 4 or 5 counties at a time. So we work really closely with them to identify operators that are not following these guidelines, and it happens all the time, all over the state.
Yeah, you're referring to the permit holders? Who is the actual commercial beach groomer, the permit holder? Because they do hold a...
I'm sorry. I guess I'm referring specifically to the marine turtle, the nest permit holders from FWC, the people who go out every morning and look for nests.
Right.
And that, who issues the all clear before anyone can do any beach cleaning. I'm saying we work really closely with them to identify people who aren't following our guidelines.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
And to go back to the ECL, it looks like in the south end, it goes from the marker 203 to 207. At least that's what the solid red line looks like here on this thing. But it looks like it's in the water. So is this after the replenishment? Of course not. This is part of my crap I bring all the time.
Oh,
Can you identify, I mean,
yeah, can you explain
what's the
what
point
you're
now?
looking at?
I'm looking at the coastal engineering consultant beach fill plan view for areas R3, R203 to R207, stamped by Michael Pop.
203 to 207, Chad, you know, I know you know these, you've memorized all these.
So that's the southern segment of the beach renourishment project, correct, Mr. Bill?
That's correct. So the ECL looks like here with the overlay.
So there's-
That's in the water. It's all the new sand.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. So there's no ECL down there per se. There is the critical wildlife area. That's, if it's
I can share this with you.
yeah, share it with me and we'll.
Yeah.
I'll take a look. I imagine you got it online.
Yes, pulled it off of there.
Yeah, I'll take
And
I'll take a
then-
quick look.
Yeah. Thanks.
I've got one question for you, Ginger, also. So is there, I had heard on a public broadcast that a raking permit holder said that there's going to be something new that had never been, that they didn't have before. It's a long-range maintenance program permitted from the DEP that can remove areas that pond where we have a negative grade, where we have a swale in front of a property that will hold water. We will remove that, grade that out, and keep the beach at a positive grade, meaning it sheds water and doesn't hold water. I haven't seen that since the early 90s. Is that, can you comment on that? Do you know of a new maintenance program that allows grading of the beach?
Hey, Ms. Ginger, this is Chad Schutz with the town. So that's he's referring to our JCP permit and the maintenance of hotspots. So that's not necessarily under your program, so you may not be familiar with it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that sounded like a JCP-ish question, and it's not something that I'm even familiar with. I'm sorry.
What's JCP? Can you clarify that?
Joint coastal permit,
And who's that permit? Who's the permittee?
the town of Fort Myers Beach,
Who's the permitter? I'm sorry.
FDEP.
But that's not under Ginger's purview. Is that correct? Is that what I understand?
That's right. It's another program. Yes, that's right.
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions you guys have?
Yeah, so this permit is something new, was just created, or is this a long-standing thing, this JCP permit that
So we were issued that JCP in November as a part of the renourishment project.
part of the renourishment, I see.
What's the length of the permit?
15 years.
That's not part of the MBZ. Is that what that? Is
So
that-
the dune management plan is also part of that permit.
That's news to us, I guess.
It's something you approved.
That's in the managed beach. I mean, the only thing we've approved, I believe, is the managed beach zone plan, correct?
I mean, I believe we've talked about the renourishment project. The permit, you know, the JCP has been public record for some time now.
Mm-hmm.
I think November 2022.
And the town does have an active, I think it's called a cleaning permit, right? Beach cleaning permit?
So we apply for that every year. It usually gets, we do an area-wide permit with Ginger's Triple CL program. If we have a definition for, or a criteria for like mass algal accumulation or fish kills, where we'll contact Kelly to get an area-wide permit to clean up nuisances and hazards to public health and safety from the
Okay.
beach.
But we currently have, the town of Fort Myers Beach holds the permit for beach cleaning, beach raking, whatever you want to call it.
I'd have to double check. I'm not sure when our area-wide expired. It's been a crazy couple of years, Mr. Bill.
All right.
I think the last one that we did was actually under the EFO, and we've been active, proceeding under the EFO for a couple of years, almost a couple of years now since Ian. So we haven't necessarily needed to get a separate Triple CL permit to clean debris off the beach. So we probably don't have an active area-wide right now. We've just been operating under the EFO, which again is the state's authorization for us to conduct those activities like we did after Idalia.
Okay. But raking is part of the beach cleaning permit, right?
So that, the town does not rake the beach.
Okay.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
all through us. It's all through a private contractor.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, like red tide events,
Yes.
yeah,
So
fish kills.
there's no talk about taking that permit away from these folks to rake the beach.
Oh,
No.
no, sir.
Just want to be clear to that.
Yeah, I think we are getting a barber rake, so there may be, we may need to get some permitting for that.
Okay.
That's kind of a different deal.
All right. But there's no talk of doing away with raking.
Absolutely not.
Perfect.
And Chad, this is Dave Nussbaum. Just so I'm clear, after a storm, such as Idalia, there is the beach groomers are allowed to go through and clean up the rack line after a storm.
Yeah, there's a provision in the raking code for that. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it requires a DEP permit based on our ordinance.
Not necessarily. There's a if there's a storm that happens and it produces a high tide line or even a high tide with the different moon phases, once another rack line's established, the older higher rack line can be cleaned from the beach.
Well, I mean, I'm reading section 14-6, section B. It says the town manager may approve the raking of the rack line condition upon prior approval by the DEP if it is determined that excessive accumulation of natural or other debris caused by extreme events, including but not limited to red tide, red algae bloom, or storm carried debris are present.
Yeah, so that's more of an acute situation where we have, again, algal accumulation or, fish kill where we would go to FDEP for an area-wide permit to clean up a, public, hazards to public health and safety. Kind of a different scenario than what Mr. Nussbaum was referring to. That's more of a routine, abnormally high storm rack line that's way up high on the beach. Once a new rack line's established, that high rack line can be removed.
I mean, that's
Just read the rest of the code, Mr. Johnson.
that's the interpretation there. I mean, I did read it.
Yeah, just let me pull it up. I know we're having test day.
Well, I think the point here is let's all understand what
Yeah, I'm a little bit
what the
confused too.
sort of
That would be
the
good.
rule of law is. I mean, it would help avoid division, conflict, and everybody be on the same page. That's what this is all about.
So the nuance is where you have the definition of the rec line. Let's see. So rec line means a well-defined zone of natural organic marine material, yada, 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 excluding man-made material. Any areas of organic marine material left on the upper beach due to abnormally high spring tides, storm tides, or extreme conditions or events as determined by the town are not included in the definition of a rec line. So you need to read the definition of rec.
I don't know, that says that sounds to me like it's just what's left after a storm, not the
Abnormally
actual
high spring tides, so you have moon.
Or
Phases.
other debris caused by extreme events. Or storm carried debris are present. I mean,
So what's the question?
the question is that what you're suggesting, I think is a very liberal definition and interpretation.
I guess I'm a liberal.
Apparently,
So again,
your words, not mine.
the
Well-
rack line is defined as to what's near the mean high water or thereabouts. We will have abnormally high rack lines with new moons and full moons, as well as storm tides and other extreme conditions. And those rack lines that are established by the abnormally high tides, storm lines, or other extreme conditions do not meet the definition of rack line per the code, section 14-6. So read the definition.
So there'll be one rack line then? There'll be one rack line, whatever the most current is your position?
That's the code, yes, ma'am.
Then the beach can
It's
never
the
be built
average-
up?
It's the average mean high water line where the rack line is established. Anything beyond that, due to a high tide, a storm, heavy winds, whatever, is excluded per the ordinance. It's pretty cut and dried.
Right,
Well, I
so
wouldn't say
you're not
it's cut
allowed
and
to, you're not allowed to rake the rack. If it doesn't meet the definition of the rack, then you're not raking the rack.
But you're speaking of the rack as being singular. If you walk out to the beach, there are oftentimes multiple racks. There's one from a high tide, there's one from a low tide. So what you're saying is you can go all the way down to the lowest one?
I'm saying follow the code.
Right, but it's we who interpret that code, and that's what we're questioning is the interpretation of it. And that's what I'm saying is I disagree with your definition as to a rack line as being singular.
I just read it from the code, so again, it's not my definition. This is just the code that I read.
Okay.
Contributions?
I mean, I've always understood it as most recent rec line. Like, yes, there's different rec lines, but then there's the more recent one. And the more recent one after a storm is one that, and I might be misinterpreting, that you can rake, but because once it then goes back into the normal cycle, then you go back to the most recent one. Is that paraphrasing? But
I think it's important to remember the intent of why we're not raking the rack line. It's because that's an important food source for birds and invertebrates, and also we want to leave a rack line there for the birds. That's not to say that, we're not going to groom the rest of the beach.
So big storm comes in, pushes stuff up, you can take it away because it's not hurting the birds, but the rec lines that have been established there the past couple tides, that's what's feeding the birds. Yeah.
So I do need to excuse myself. I have a pre-con meeting. Frankie, did you want to come up, or are you just going to? Okay. Okay, no worries. So, excuse me, I have the beach renourishment that I told you all about, so.
All right. So, do we have a staff report coming, or? No? Okay.
No, why would you? Okay, good. Okay, Ginger, are you still on?
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay. Excellent. I just was going to mention, unless there's an objection from the rest of the advisory board here, you're certainly welcome to depart. Thank you unless there's any questions you have for us.
No, thank you guys so much for your time today. And Steve, I believe you have my contact information, so if anyone has any follow-up questions, please reach out.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Just,
Thank you, Ginger.
Yeah, to be sensitive for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, take care.
Okay. So the other portion would be, was to go through, I don't know, Frankie, are you actually, would that was FDEP's portion, the town's portion on the current ordinance? Are you in a position to support that, or since Chad's leaving, or?
Good morning. Frankie Kirpacek, Operations and Compliance Director for the Town of Fort Myers Beach. Whatever my environmental manager is supporting, I, as a director, support. He's probably the smartest person we have on this beach that knows not only the governmental policy, but how the town needs to enact it within our code. So if he's a full supporter of it, so am I.
No, from a support perspective, answering questions that we have for him since he's not here.
I can definitely do that. Yes, we've sat in on a lot of the meetings. But yeah, if you wish to
Well,
ask me
we
anything,
just saw, we had a discussion about the section 14-6 of the Land Development Code. So are the requirements for permittees, is that current?
So far, yes. Yes, and again, the Land Development Code is currently being worked, but as it stands today, we are enforcing the one that's in place. And
Right.
again, with any ordinance in any type of thing that we're doing, as the person that's coming in that's how we issue, especially with something like this.
Right, so I guess maybe, so the question of whether they all have current applications, or they're all, I believe there's 5 permitted rakers on the beach, and they all have applications with the town right
Yes,
now?
Chad and I have talked about this just the other day, and that's something that we're currently in his queue, and he
Right.
currently talks to these people. They're all been permitted in the past. As far as if they're current or not, that's something that we're still looking at. But these are people these are not new players. These are people that know the rules, know the game, and if they're doing something different, he usually gets out there. I've been with him when he has stopped people. He has a great rapport with the rakers that we're talking about here, and yes, I believe he's on top of that. I'd be confident saying that as far as the town's perspective.
So the annual educational training sessions are being conducted every year? Do you know when the last one was conducted?
I cannot answer that question, sir. No, I cannot.
They all are carrying the $1 million in liability insurance? If they're
I
not
believe that is
current,
the
do you know?
That is the policy, and that's what
That's
it
the
needs.
policy.
needs to be. So I can get you more concrete information on that as well.
Is there a reason why there are 5? Like, could someone apply to be number 6?
I believe they were people that were here before. As far as open areas, I know some of the resorts have their own people. The open beaches have people, and that's just the way it was when we got here. Andy and I, being here a year, we're kind of new to this whole thing, so I do rely heavily on Chad, who had been here as a contracted employee and then now as a town employee. We've talked to several of the gentlemen who are rakers out there just by going out and doing activities, and these are people that have a pretty darn good grasp of what's happening out there for the most part. I'm not saying that everybody has a lapse in judgment sometimes, or somebody does something that they're not thinking about, but for the most part, they have the town's best interest and the beach's best interest in mind. Otherwise, I think we would have yanked them a while ago. So I don't know if that answers your question, but getting more people out there, I don't know if that's something that's needed.
No, I'm
So-
just wondering if someone decided that they wanted to be a beach raker,
I
so they just
don't
have to
believe it
apply.
is just that easy, ma'am, no.
So-
I think there has to be a need or an area vacant for them to do that in.
So, we receive complaints, they come to MRF members, either it's on the beach, or we get emails with photos, of non-compliance, and when those are brought to the environmental manager, they die. I mean, I've never seen any kind of follow-up on noncompliance.
We can have our staff member to your committee show you follow-through. We can make that well-known. We're not trying to keep anything from anybody. What Chad does as the environmental manager for the beach, he has a process. I personally trust in that process. If you're having complaints, yes, take them to them, but also CC me. That's one good way of making sure that things get done. I will talk with Chad and we'll make it a little bit more transparent on when he has these discussions and how he fields complaints. Some of these complaints that come to you and he goes and talks to the person, it turns out to be nothing. We know that in the building part.
Yeah.
Somebody will complain to a permit tech, and when I talk to him or we get him in front of a zoning or a planner, all of a sudden, that really wasn't that big of a deal. So sometimes there's a little bit of miscommunication too. So we try to feel things on all levels, not only with staff, on the director level, and then also at council.
Yeah, I mean, the ones I typically see that are sent to me are typically raking too close to vegetation, where they're either on top of vegetation or they're clearly not 10 feet from vegetation. The other is racking, is raking vegetation. I mean, I have a database here of images. I mean, if you're interested in seeing them, I'd be happy to send them. But I mean, I think that's, and I know our rakers are long-term rakers. I mean, they actually know better. So that's the question is why can't, we're just, I think from Murph's perspective, I mean, we're supposed to be the guardians of the marine resources here, and that includes, of course, the beach. That's the what's the word I'm looking for here? The draw. The draw. It's the money. It's the money for the area. So we take it from from a tourist and a financial perspective for the property owners and landowners and for property values. So without the beach, we're just we might as well be out in Ames, not Des Moines, but Ames, where there's not any water in sight. So. So we have to take these seriously, and we look for help with staff. And I guess what I'm suggesting is that I personally, I can't speak for the others, I don't always get the the support for that. So.
Well, I can reach out to you, Mr. Johnson. If you CC me, I think I've made myself pretty well known in the town. I do follow up. I am accountable not only to the town manager but also to the town board. So it will get done. So if you include me on these things and we run them up the flagpole, you will get an answer. If not from me, from staff.
Right.
But it will get taken care of.
Right. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, mechanical raking is legal. It's legal in the state of Florida, and the county of Lee, and the town of Fort Myers Beach. That's not what's at hand. I think what's at hand is just the compliance is all. So, I mean, does anybody else have any other contributions for?
No, but Chad mentioned a type of rake that I had not heard before. We're getting in.
It's a barber rake. Yeah.
Yeah. What is
Yes.
a barber rake?
So a barber rake is not as invasive. So when you see the rakers out on the beach, a lot of times they're just using a fixed tined rake.
Yes.
Where they come in, they can set the depth for a matter of inches to all the way down to a foot. And it goes through and makes little furrows, and it also, as it does so, it also fills in back.
Right.
And what they're trying to do is they're trying to pick up that debris, that subsoil debris, and bring it, or they're trying to get the surface debris and bring it to a location where it can easily be collected and whatnot. A barber rake is actually does the same thing. It's a rotating head on the front, and what it does is that it goes through the sand layer, it actually picks up and puts that stuff into a container. Sort of like the old lawn hoppers back when you used to cut lawn and people didn't like the clippings on top, the bagging lawnmower. It's a very similar process to that. But it's a lot cleaner method, and it's a lot more secure method. I know on the East Coast, like a good example where our town manager comes from in Surfside, they have a big problem with sargassum washing up onto the shore. What they do is they take a fixed tine rake and actually put that back into the sand. They bury all the vegetation because it actually, as it breaks down, it actually has fiber and doesn't erode the sand. So beaches are thought of on two different coasts, two different ways. What they do on the East Coast is not the way we do things here on the West Coast. And so a barber rake fits more into what we need to do as far as getting that surface layer, that subsurface layer, collecting that and disposing of it properly, and still grooming the beach as we go.
Now I know there's a limit on the length of the tines in the rakes
Correct.
that they use, will there also be on the,
Yes, ma'am.
Is it deeper then?
That's actually
inches,
fit
yeah.
and set to, you
It's
can
the
actually
same.
adjust those, and that's adjusted accordingly to the regulations.
Did the town own a barber rake before, or were they? is
That
it
I don't
loaned
know.
from county?
Prior to me getting here, I don't know.
I mean, it's been used.
I know in the past, I think we might have borrowed the counties at one
I think
time. We
that's-
used to
I think
borrow the
that's what
counties.
it was, yeah.
And through the generosity of the TDC, we were able to secure our own, along with our own new tractor.
So, I mean, now would be a good time maybe also just to bring up, although it's legal, it's detrimental to our beach. So has the town considered that in their review of using a barber rake? I mean, you've got benthic organisms, you've got invertebrates, you've got obviously the rack itself, the organic matter that you're picking up. You're basically sort of sterilizing the sand. So is that something
So
the town's
to
taking
your
into
counterpoint,
consideration?
sir, as far as being counterproductive, you're the guardians of the beach. The beach is the big draw. Do you want people to come here and walk through a feet of weeds and debris? Or do you want a clean, somewhat manicured beach?
So this is the town's, counterpoint would be that this is the town's barber rake, and it's going to be used for for storm-related tidal events and things. This is not going to be used on a daily basis.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah. So this is going to be used as it was previously for red tide events, for algal blooms, things like that.
Any large deposits of weed. A good example is today. So we got 5 days of storm. We've got 5 days of onshore wave action onto this beach. What is it going to be like on day 6? So day 6, you're going to have people calling up. Same people that are complaining about the other things, I'm sure will be calling up on these and
Right.
saying, oh my God, I can't walk down to the water side because look at all this stuff.
Stinky
This is
seaweed,
where this
yeah.
comes into play, sir.
Yeah. So does the town intend to have a scope of when it would be used, when the accumulation comes to a certain
To be
amount?
totally honest with
Or is it subjective?
the group here, we just received it 2 days ago. It's still parked in back. The owner's manual, the video, and all the learning tools have not been done yet until staff is properly trained by the manufacturer on how to use it, and we have the regulations in place to use it. It's not going to be used. So when that happens, the timeline, it could happen anywhere between a week and 2 weeks from now, as far as a trial run. And anything that needs to be done in the meantime will be done by the current people that are out there.
and what will happen to the stuff that this rake collects?
A lot of the big debris, it's usually collected and carted off. With
Right.
our new tractor that we have, it's got a really nice bucket. It's a non-invasive type bucket, so we can scoop it, put it in our vehicles, and that's usually taken over to an off-island site. The same thing as you would take like a lawn clippings, those type of things, that landscape debris.
Thanks.
Good. Any, Rose, anything?
Does that have to be composted or just landfilled?
I think when you go to like some of these landscape debris sites, I know I live in the Cape. North Cape used to have one up on Bird Store Road. What they'll do, especially with stuff that's collected on wet, what they call wet material, they'll usually let that air dry for a day or so, and then they just process it. Sort of similar to composting. They just turn it over on itself and over on itself, and then incorporate it with other medium, and it breaks down and basically becomes mulch or soil.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Mary Rose?
No.
No? Anybody?
I have just a general question. Sanibel doesn't rake. And what do they do after big storm events like we're getting now with their debris and stuff? If anybody knows or doesn't know, it's something I'm just curious about.
I personally don't know what the city of Sanibel does, but I
Yeah.
know like what Captiva on the county run portion of that
Yeah.
little island, they do clean up.
Down
So
there,
they'll
okay.
go out there with, we're talking about a small tractor with beach tires and a barber rake. They'll go out there with a front end loader.
that's what I was- I thought I saw
and do
once.
a lot more damage than what we're talking about.
Right.
Again, the city of Sanibel and the island of Sanibel is a conservation eased island, something that they thought of years and years and years ago. So they follow by a different set of rules, environmentally and organizationally, as we do,
Yeah.
or from us, I should say. So it's really not fair to compare us to them as far as how we want to get our beaches back. Yes, I think it's very, very fair. I think we're trying to do the minimal amount of invasiveness on the beach, but still get the maximum amount of effort in the end run, as far as making sure that it is clean, it is pristine, and so on and so forth. It's free of debris.
Point heard. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Dave? Anything from Wisconsin?
No.
No? All right, thank you, Frankie.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah. Okay, any other discussion on beach grooming and mechanical raking? Hearing none, shall
No.
we go to the next agenda item?
I think we should.
Okay. Next agenda item is Sea Grant Resiliency Study, and that was actually Chad's agenda item. So maybe I can just talk at that for a second. Basically, there's been a grant for doing a resiliency study. Without looking up the narrative on it, I don't know, maybe Councilman King knows consulting.
There's a meeting today, is there not, this evening?
That's R2P2, so that's different. But this is, so as part of our resiliency discussion and our forum, I can't get it out of my head here. Essentially, we need to have an assessment, a resiliency assessment, and so we have a grant to hire that consultant that will do that assessment for us. And that then opens the door for potential funding, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, he actually included the narrative with the agenda when he sent it out, but I had read it earlier, and by now I've already forgotten it all, so. But that was his update to give us on exactly what the pieces. So after our forum, we had our resiliency discussion, and there were some follow-ups from the town, and those were since, I think, performed. And so they have contracted and got permission from the town council to contract this homely corn, something like that, consultant to actually perform the assessment. So I would as soon move that, put that on next month's agenda while hopefully Chad will be here.
I make a motion to move it till
Will we have a
next
result?
meeting.
You think we'll have a result? It will be done? Is it ongoing?
I don't
It'll
think
be
so. I
done?
just, part of that is actually the evaluating LiDAR data, looking at inundation reports. I know Dr. Savarese, who is a part of the forum, has an update in inundation data that was performed,
Right.
which essentially means that the length the search, height and length the search will carry. And he's more than happy to share that with the consultant to potentially save the town some dollars in replicating effort. So, and I think Chad is aware of that, and so he's not here to discuss it with. So I guess I would entertain Rob's motion to just
Right, we'll-
add that to next month's agenda when we get to that portion of our agenda.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sound good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the children's activity book.
It's basically done. Woohoo! Take it to printers, a few loose ends that we need to tie up on. I guess someone had mentioned to the mayor that the final page about health stress information
She needs a microphone.
needs to be changed but it's actually accurate.
It's inaccurate?
It's accurate.
Oh, okay. When,
The specific wording was boat strikes are, in the book, it's boat strikes are a leading cause of manatee mortality, and someone brought up that it's not the leading cause, so it's just a little, a or the, but it's the second most reason for manatee mortality, so the actual verbiage in the book is accurate.
It is accurate.
so we're using not the, is that it?
Yes.
Correct. Are a leading cause,
Okay,
not the leading cause.
thank you. When do you expect it will be done, Jen?
Well, I have a question for all of you. I just need to know about the layout. And then we'll be done with it. We'll take it to print. We have this kind of layout, so it opens like that.
The booklet.
A lot of the pages are better for that, aren't they?
I think it's better this
That
way.
long ways.
That's
yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
like
like
a
that
book.
this is
one.
right off the bat. That's the one I would prefer.
Yeah, I like that one.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, I think that's it.
How many is the first printing?
I think we agreed last month it was gonna be 20,000.
He needs a microphone.
20,000. What was that, Mr. Nussbaum?
He can't hear you.
Oh.
Why don't you take Frankie's?
Well, you're done. Oh, that's
Bill's
a good
tearing
idea.
the desk apart. He's hulking out. We'll make it.
So I think 10,000 copies is what we agreed to last month.
20,000 you said, right?
10,000. Increase that we're, well, no, it says 10,000, but I thought we were increasing it by 10,000. Well, no, because the quote was for 5,000, and I think we made the motion to go ahead and print 10,000. And I think,
It looks like the cover is in color. Are we printing in color?
That's Inky the Whale or
the
something.
front page, no.
Those books she had were just.
Oh,
other-
they're just the
These are
examples.
Some other ones that I
Oh.
give out to kids.
Okay, I thought something changed.
Yeah, just example.
Any other, Bill, I see you reaching. Is that,
I'm just going to thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
We
you
can put that
so
to bed.
much. Yes. Thank you.
absolutely.
Well, then there's going to have to be a plan on how to distribute them. Yes. They have 10,000 books, so
Right.
no.
That's a good point. So I'm happy to, hand them out during pop-ups or just schools, but maybe 10,000, maybe each person could take a box and find people to give them out.
I'll take a bunch.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, like,
I don't think we'll have a problem.
is there an organization, or like, do we want to just give a bunch to the schools?
Schools, Lee County schools, libraries.
But I don't think we should be too hasty to give them away, because I
Chamber.
think you distribute a lot when you put that pop-up tent to work.
Maybe allocate some just to have for the pop-ups, and then the rest, like, so.
For schools, I
Yeah.
know that the beach school, there is
Roxy,
one
yeah,
more
for the chamber.
correction that we have to make. It was, I think a thank you to Beach Kids Schools, but it was a Mound House that they had the summer camp program.
Oh,
So
right.
I'm changing the wording from, I guess, the beach school kids. I'm going to change it to Mound House summer camp, Bay Oak summer camp.
Of that year. Because there might be different kids this year. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Good.
You can snack them at the Mound House too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. For their next year summer camp. Yeah. And that's it for
That's
the
where-
activity book. That's where we're at.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you all for your support.
Yep. Okay, so let's move along. How about members' items?
Well, I have a couple.
We'll start with you then.
One that I want to, before I forget, is Murph was given, awarded $3,500 from the Fort Myers Beach Community Foundation. Very kind. That money will go towards either more activity books, or we can also discuss what we want to do with that money moving forward. I had an idea that I thought might be nice if we did like a resilience day, Fort Myers Beach Resilience Day, and that Murph can maybe give out plants to the residents of Fort Myers Beach. That's just an idea I wanted to throw out. Also, I have a thank you card that I would appreciate that maybe we could all sign to give to the Community Foundation.
Wow, that's terrific.
Can we do that? Can we play with this $3,500?
We can do whatever we want. It was donated to the town of Fort Myers Beach Marine Environmental Resource Task
Good.
Force.
Well, let's put that on the agenda then.
Yes, to discuss
To
what,
discuss how to best utilize that money.
correct.
That's so generous of them.
So generous and really awesome.
We'll put it to good use.
Yeah, we will.
Am I on?
Oh, it's still me. Let's see. Oh, what was the other one? Oh, so I brought some information in on manatees, and I can leave these for the town, for the residents or boaters or businesses that rent boats. It's little information cards that you can hang on to your boat key or put it in your boat. And it just discusses all boat operators must comply with posted signs. And then also I have information on If You Love Me, Please Don't Touch or Feed Me, which is information from Save the Manatee Club. And then I also have guidelines for protecting Florida manatees from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. And so if anyone out there that's listening, if anyone's listening, would like some information, please come by the town hall and pick up your information.
Thank you. Great members report. Shall we go to Dave, since he's sort of sitting between Jennifer and Bill?
He's all around us.
Couple of things. On the 6,000 beach, I received a report from FWC. Once again, we've had at least 3 new snowy plover nests that have, a couple have already hatched and the chicks are running around. As you know, snowy plovers have somewhere around 105 breeding pair in the state of Florida, so we are very cognizant of the fact that we are helping, promote a critically endangered species on our beach. Kudos to Chris Weber, who initially discovered the first nest and has since alerted FWC to the other nests, which are staked to prevent people from going near the nests. We also have several lease turns, skimmers down on the south end where the bigger colony is, and there was a nighthawk nest that was discovered there, so by FWC. So the birds are doing very well this summer in spite of the rain. Secondly, I did want to note that given the preponderance of data that we received from the professor regarding the resilience, I had asked that we ask the town to look at retaining walls facing the Gulf of Mexico and the ordinance that's on the books. And that was voted on, and that was neglected to be brought up at the last town council. So I would like that to be brought up. There is an ordinance preventing seawalls at the vegetation line for the island on the books. And given the fact that the professor stated this did protect landward areas, we had voted that we would alert the town to this and have them look at the ordinance, and I just would like to make sure that it was brought up to the town council this next time the chairman addresses the council.
So I'm sorry, Dave, I'm not sure I understand. Did you say that we actually had a motion to bring that up and it was neglected to be brought up, or you'd like to?
Yes, we voted on it at the last meeting. It was in the minutes we just approved.
I know we discussed seawalls, I don't recall a vote.
I don't see it. I don't remember a vote. It's not in the minutes.
No? Go back and look at the three that were voted on.
The very
unanimous-
first one. So just for clarification, the motion was actually, I had made the motion to move to provide recommendations regarding plant selection, investigate Gulf front seawalls, and to direct staff to investigate and pursue the vulnerability assessment if the resilient Lee report did not meet the town's needs.
Correct.
And it was
And the
seconded
Gulf
by,
front seawalls was neglected on your report to the town council. I don't know if it was an oversight, but
yeah.
given the preponderance of the data from the professor and the protection that they offered, I thought it would be responsible on our part to address that with the town council and say we possibly need to look at that ordinance and modify it.
Yep, I'll add that to the corrections then. It was an oversight. I made the motion, so I don't think I would have intentionally left that out, so I apologize.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Yep. Woo.
Nothing this month.
Bill, nothing. Okay.
I had two things. One is that we have a list of invasive plants on the website, and as of last fall, they came out with a new list for 2023, and so I would like to have the old one removed and the new one posted sometime soon. And then the other thing is, for the past month or so, I've been working with some people from Sanibel, some Master Gardener volunteers, and we're creating a whole new PowerPoint presentation on Florida-friendly landscaping for barrier islands. And it's to go from like Sarasota County down through Collier County. Our first presentation will be in 2 weeks on Thursday, June 27th at Sanibel Library, starting at 1:30, and afterwards, it's expected to last 2 hours. Afterwards, we're probably going to do a walk through the Sanibel Captiva Community Foundation garden area and plant stands. We've been working also with Haley Cox, who's the Coastal Resilience Program Coordinator, and she actually has made contributions to this as well as the Natural Resources Department of Sanibel. So hopefully you'll read about it in the paper next week.
Will you have a copy of that, Rose, so that if some organization on our beach would like?
Of the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
I will check with that. Normally, when there's a PowerPoint done like such as that, that's a group effort, then it has to be presented by a Master Gardener volunteer. It's not like the ones that I had posted where I did it myself. I posted because I did that myself.
But you're a master gardener, right?
Yes, but to post it to the public, it needs to be presented.
Okay.
Not your property to give away.
It's not, there you go. It's not my property to give away. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. Rob?
Just a couple personal things. I'm giving a talk at the Riverdale Public Library about the history of the Caloosahatchee, from pretty much the Calusa Indians all the way up through present, talking about water releases, things like that. If anybody's interested, I'd love to have you.
How much are tickets?
Where is it again?
Free at
Okay,
the Riverdale
so we'll
Public
allow you-
Library.
We'll allow you to continue talking. Go
Where's
ahead.
that?
It's going towards Alva.
Thank you.
Yeah, going out that way. And then also another free thing that I am in the very early stages of, I would like to get going. It's kind of like a TED Talk. We're still looking at what cute names we want to have, but something for everyone in the community to be involved in. We'll have guest speakers, but it'll hopefully once every 2 months have a get-together here on island at a predetermined location. It'll be open and that to the public, so just want that to be on everybody's radar. And any public and government or individual ideas for topics, things people want to learn about, let me know, and keep an eye out online for me getting that information out there and how we're going to be communicating all that. Because
So it'll be live.
it's going to be, I'm going to hopefully try to stream it. It's just going to be an education thing for everybody, just about everything, science, nature, anything. And I would love anybody's input on that. So, yeah, that's
Awesome.
all I have.
Thank you. So, my members' report actually is that clarification that I've been promising since the last few months about that raking paper that was read, which was a master's thesis, Dave, that you had provided the MRF Advisory Board,
Yes.
saying that raking was good for turtle nesting. Since I am not a sea turtle biologist, I actually shared that with a couple of resources to get their input. So one is Blair Witherington, who is really probably one of the leading sea turtle marine biologists, academic in the country, and author. So his comments on the paper is that it's a master's thesis. This means that a committee reviewed the student's work, but it had not been peer-reviewed or passed by any journal editor's review. In a word, it's a first draft of a scientific contribution. Nothing in the thesis comes close to providing proof that beach raking is advantageous to marine sea turtle nesting. Perhaps a misconception of the work's conclusions comes from the negative results. That is, although effects from beach raking were tested, only effects on nesting success were found, not on hatching emerging success. This could mean that there are no effects from raking or hatching success, or it could mean that the test was too weak given variation in hatching success rate. This variation is famous for frustrating researchers who suspect an environmental effect but cannot demonstrate it because the power of their test is too low. For example, the sample size is too small to overcome the noise of variation. It goes on to say the study did not show an effect from beach raking on nesting success. This effect is seen elsewhere following artificial beach widening and removal of beach dune vegetation, especially where there's alterations reveal artificial lighting. The conventional wisdom in effects from beach raking is that the practice destroys dune plants that sprout on the upper beach and prevents incipient dunes from forming, thereby widening the berm between the dune and the rack lines. Both loggerhead and green sea turtles respond to these wide beaches by showing a higher nesting abandonment rate, which is a false crawl rate, than on natural beaches, which is the case of our beach, a very high false crawl rate. Studies like these are not experiments. The students describe the complexities of teasing out effects from beach raking from all other environmental differences between the beach sites she studied. So what he's saying is there's so many other things going on that aren't being measured that you really can't tease out, this aspect that's attempting to be measured. A much more definitive study would include something like a before-after control impact experimental design that would control for all of these confounding variables. And it also says in the abstract, the student concludes with, mechanical beach cleaning cannot solely be used to determine sea turtle management or conservation guidelines in Broward County. He agrees there are many other concerns from beach raking apart from sea turtle nesting, including beach diminished plant diversity, shorebird abundance, and diminished natural aesthetics, such as seashells, sea beans, and other appreciated and underappreciated rack materials. And the second input I had received is actually from the head of the biologic administrator, the head of the imperiled species management, which is Dr. Trindell. She goes on to say that she concurs with Blair's findings. Further, while we were aware the student had used the nesting data in this way, after the fact, I don't recall we ever authorized the use of FWC nesting data for this study. It was not reviewed by FWC or to our knowledge by other sea turtle biologists. There are many covariants on this beach, such as lighting, people, vehicles on the beach at night. It would be impossible to tease out the impacts of beach cleaning without a carefully designed, controlled, replicated as BACI before and after impact study. As indicated, I believe there are credible studies showing the negative impacts of beach cleaning on beach profiles, such as increased wave run-up on the post-cleaning, flatter, unnaturally altered beaches. There is a reason that beach cleaning requires a triple CL permit, as it is considered a modification of the beach dune system. Beach cleaning was listed as one of the impacts of the beach dune system that also impacted state and federally listed species, such as sea turtles, during development of the Florida Beaches Habitat Conservation Plan. The plan also identified removal of the wrack as a significant negative impact to listed species. Wrack consists of seaweeds, seagrass fragments that drive coastal beach ecosystems by providing a food source for small crustaceans on the beach, which then provide forage for shorebirds. Removal of wrack poses a significant threat to shorebirds protected under either federal or state endangered species laws or the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. And she goes on to say that she attached this draft plan. And she also mentions, I think, the Volusia County also addresses negative impacts to protected species from beach cleaning. And there's some links here. So the point of reading that is that, you know, the paper that you had pointed us to, I think, is not a robust scientific publication, but rather a master's thesis without any peer review or journal review. So it's taken me a few months to get it together here, but we have it. And I believe that's it.
It appears everyone has an opinion on this.
Well, there's scientific research and there's an opinion. And what I've just read basically...
I didn't hear any scientific research. I heard their opinion.
Okay.
Of these professors, you don't recognize their...
So you had instructed us to search the internet for papers. There is a wealth of papers. There's brochures, there's everything available. So I'll take it as a personal to-do to help provide you with that research.
No, that's quite all right. Thank you.
Okay, excellent.
Fort Myers Beach rakes, right?
Yeah.
We had a real successful turtle nesting season in '23, and I think even so far this year. Is that going well?
So far, it's reasonably good, yeah.
Okay, so everything's successful. Sanibel does not rake, correct?
That's correct.
Their ecosystem's very different with the predators, though. Like even he said, you can't compare the two, especially
Okay.
with that.
All right, yeah.
But I see
because-
your point. I do see your
Yes.
point. But the predators there are much
look-
different.
Right. You take a look at one of the factors of
Yeah.
raking, huge difference between the two. But then it gets,
Just a moment. Does anyone have a red Nissan or like a burgundy Nissan?
I do not.
Yeah, we're under a flood advisory right
Oh,
now.
we have been
Fort
flooded.
Myers
It's been
beaches.
pouring out.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Jeez.
Oh, gosh.
Did you guys all get that, Jason? Or Jacob, I'm sorry?
Red Nissan. Okay.
Red Nissan. Whoa. God, it's just,
all right.
Yeah,
it's like PTSD, man, flooding. I mean, really, it's just,
yeah.
you just want to climb out your bathroom window.
Okay, let me get my 2 cents in, please.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about the the dog problem we have on the beach again. And we'll go back to the glowing story about our snowies. There are, I would say, maybe 6 people who every morning will walk their dogs unleashed on the beach. As a matter of fact, I believe that one of the nests that was being referred to in the 6,000 block of Estero Boulevard was harassed by one of these dogs. And the problem is that people are wise to the fact that they can do the wrong thing and they have plenty of time to put the dog on the leash so that they can't be held to account before the beach patrol gets there. So I don't know where we go from this, but it's almost like having no restrictions on dogs in certain areas of the beach because people play the game every day. They put the lead on the dog, let the dog run, and if they see an authority, will grab hold of it, and that meets the law. What are we to do? Give up?
Well, the warnings aren't working. I've had multiple people on the beach, specifically tell me that Beach Patrol has told them to take the dog off the leash as soon as they're out of sight. like, that's verbatim what a person with a dog said on a leash. They
And
took
that's
it
my
off.
point. That's what we're up against.
They need to be, like, so
And I don't
besides a
know where
warning,
we go.
what's the actual fine or penalty? What is the penalty besides a warning? I'm just curious. That's
There
a
are
question I have.
penalties, but the problem is that in order for it to be applied, the person has to be not only seen by the officer, but actually photographed in order to prove it. And so that gives them plenty of time to
Right, but what my
just be cavalier, and there are no consequences. And I do think that one of those nests was damaged. I think that the dogs frightened, not the dogs, the one dog, and I can specifically describe it, but I won't. That dog ran up to the nest, and the adult who should have been guarding the nest was frightened, and so she left, and the chicks scattered, gone. I'm at my wit's end.
Does anyone know what the actual penalty is if they were to enforce the?
How can it be enforced?
Well, that's
It'd
not
be
the
a
question. The
citation.
question is like, what's the citation? Hey, don't do it again, or is there an
Yeah, I'm
actual?
sure
No, there's a
fine?
monetary fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, nominal.
But it
sure.
involves a lot of proof and paperwork, and I understand that people are so busy on the beach rebuilding after Ian that it would be burdensome, but what it means, if we don't follow through on it, is that we in effect have no dog leash law.
well, my point with bringing up what people have told me about what Beach Patrol has said to them is how do our guests or residents take it seriously when the ones who could be enforcing it aren't?
So where do we go
Yeah.
from here? I'm open to suggestions. As I said, I'm at wit's end.
If I may, just my experience in the past, I'd say, couple months is that it's a wild, wild west here on Fort Myers Beach.
Well, Southwest.
The beach is filthy. I mean, there's so much plastic, so much garbage, and so much so that the day before Memorial Day, I ran into a staff member who was out cleaning, and he said that he had never seen the beach so filthy in all the years he's worked. And so I don't know if it's because we don't have signs yet. I mean, you would think that most people understand to pick up their children's, pails and plastic and food, but and we have garbage cans, so that's not but the dog
Jennifer?
situation, yes, sir.
Jennifer, can you tell us what section of the island you were on when you're describing the beach?
Well, you probably wouldn't know, but the beach is broken down in zones and so each person, each volunteer, Turtle Time volunteer, is assigned zones, and my zones are all up and down the island. So it's basically, the whole
Was
beach.
it north, central, or south that you saw the debris?
It was, let's see, by Diamond Head. Out, going south from Diamond Head.
Thank you.
Okay, we all set on members' reports?
Right.
Moving things along here. Staff updates? No staff, no update. Public comment?
Come talk,
Nope.
Bill. Come talk.
Oh, yes. Pull them in. Oh, I'm gonna put that mic back up, Jennifer.
This is first time doing this, so Will Perry. I'm a beach cleaner, as most of you know. I think a lot of learning in this meeting. I'd be interested to see some of the research that Steve Johnson brought up. I'm always willing to learn the impact that we have. I will say to your point that you brought up, there's a lot of factors when it comes to turtle nesting, hatch rates. There's elevation, so elevation can cause compaction. There's visibility, seeing straight to the lights. our ambient lights behind the actual beach, and beach grooming. And whatever we can do, we've tried to do. We've tried to open communication, and we've opened communication. I'm always willing to listen and try to change what I do for the better of the beach, and balancing what the property owners desire and what can be best for the beach. I think, talk to us, and we'll do what we can. That's all I have to say.
Sorry, I have a
No.
question.
Yeah.
You said you're a beach cleaner.
Yeah.
What, can you define that for me?
I groom the beach.
Raker.
Oh, you're a raker.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, 'cause-
Topic of discussion today.
Right. All right. Well,
Oh,
Point
yeah.
of order.
Pardon?
I don't know. I'm hearing these voices all the years. Thank you very much for your comment this evening, Will. It's nice to meet you too, by the way.
Did Dave said something?
Point of order? I thought he was calling you point of order.
I just said point of order. We're not allowed, public comment is not allowed to have interaction back and forth.
No. No problem. Black mark on my soul. Okay, moving along. Murph Award. Murphy, any nominations for this month?
I have one. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, beach, someone just, and it escapes me, which one of our resorts just did the big,
Oh, Pink Shell.
that's what it is, Pink
Yeah.
Shell.
That was gonna be mine.
Tell us about what Pink Shell did.
We're leading the way, I would say, in just being turtle compliant with everything we are trying to do as far as how we educate the guests, how our lighting is, the tint on the windows. We are really trying to set kind of like the standard for beach and turtle friendliness on island. We are trying to be very aware of, how we're presenting ourselves to our guests as far as, why we're doing certain things, because a lot of guests are coming in and they expect the beach to be a certain way. They like something that I'm educating right now. Why aren't you putting the chairs out earlier on the beach? It's because we got to wait for the turtles in turtle season. So we are the Turtle Conservancy gave us I guess the best good rating, and we're all in on that.
That's the verbiage I wanted.
No, there's actually an accreditation. There's a program.
Yeah, the Turtle Conservancy.
But there's a name for the program. Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw.
what's the name of it? Like, I didn't write it down. and
But
I
they're getting, it's a certification.
It is. Yeah, we're certified. That's what we're certified.
You're
The
certified.
verbiage is escaping me too, and Bill shouldn't have walked out because he would have known it. I can get that to you guys. I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah, and that's who I would nominate.
we got
because
that.
it's such
So
a really big
if it's
thing.
a successful nomination,
Yeah, they,
would you write the verbiage, the
because
verbiage
there's a
for it?
whole lot of compliance that they had to,
Yeah, they went through a lot, and they
It's significant,
The
yeah.
Turtle
lighting,
Conservancy.
it's a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, they came
furniture.
over multiple times
It's-
to check us out.
it's
and making sure we were
vegetation.
going. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have that. It's really impressive.
Yeah. No, I'm very proud to be like, I don't represent them when I'm here, like that's my job, but I don't represent them as on Murph, but I'm very proud of, what they are doing and to be part of that. And yeah, I can get you all the information if you'd like, and
Right.
everything.
And because of this, I would nominate Pink Shell Resort.
Okay.
And I had one, an individual that lived in South Fort Myers, Don Davids. He actually participated in that vegetation study a couple years ago, and he's done a lot of work for Fort Myers Beach. Like, I entered all the data, but then he went into Google and entered it all. This is from 2022, and all the points. And recently he was down here and sent me a picture that he had just come down and picked up trash around the public library. Bag of trash is be helping clean up Fort Myers Beach. So he could go
So
in the
we'll have to
bank.
clean up still, yeah.
And who is that again,
Post-hurricane.
Rose?
Don Davids.
Don Davids.
I'd make a nomination for the Community Foundation for their generous donation toward conservation efforts from Murph. Any other nominations? We're loading up the bank, I'll tell you that.
unfortunately, this weekend, there was a visitor that was passing away in the driveway, and we had police and fire department and medics there working on her for over an hour. And I was just so proud to feel that our, the public servants and these people are out there every day trying to, keep our streets safe and people alive. And I don't know if that, is
know
a
it's our
Murphy
purview.
Award,
Yeah,
but
it's not
Yeah.
conservation
Was that your
oriented.
driveway?
it was next door.
Oh, I'm
It was
sorry that
terrible.
happened to you.
Yeah.
Did she make it?
No.
Rest in peace.
Maybe that's something you want to share with the Public Safety Committee.
Yes.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, let's move to vote. The three to vote are Pink Shell, Don Davids, or the Community Foundation. All in favor of the Pink Shell?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is that biased?
5. That's already 5, so. You can only vote once, we all know, so I'd say the Pink Shell takes it.
For
I do
conservation compliance.
Right.
And then we'll find out exactly what it is.
Well, I mean, there's a
Okay.
specific name for the
I know there is.
certification,
I know
and that's
there
what
is,
it's
'cause I was
escaping
really
me.
impressed
But
when
as
I read
always,
it.
we'll put the other 2 in the bank for times of need. Don Davids and Community Foundation, $3,500. Okay. So moving forward, well, actually, we have Spotlight article for the month. I've been remiss here, I think. We're a little bit, I think we've skipped a month. I was actually due. So I'm up. Nussbaum's on deck, and Rob Howell's in the hole. All right. And so that's Murphy. Set agenda for the next meeting.
Real quick, when am I up for the spotlight?
Then Jennifer Rusk is, I don't know what comes after
4 months.
4.
What month am I?
Well, I have to adjust that. So you aren't, Rob, you were, so that's going to be July, August, maybe?
On August, okay.
July, say. This is June?
So, yeah, you'll
It's
be,
June, July, so I'm September.
are you June then?
I'm
Or are you
June,
July? You're gonna do it for June.
June, July,
June,
August,
August. So Jen is September.
November, December. Jen
I am
will be
August, okay.
September, Rose is November, and then Bill, you're in December.
Are we
All right.
meeting next month?
Yeah. I mean, that would be my opinion.
I think we'll have a full
Would you like
agenda.
to-
Let's see it.
We-
Sure.
Yep.
The
you-
town council is on break, so I didn't know.
Right. Rob, are you okay with the meeting next month?
Yeah.
Rose? Bill?
I won't be here.
Jennifer won't be here? Dave?
When is the meeting again?
July 10th.
10th.
Checking my schedule.
I guess the question is, are you opposed to meeting in July? Do we need to vote on it?
I think if the town council isn't meeting in July, I think we could take a month off as well.
All right? Is
But
that
we
worth
just
dis-
had
is
a
that
month
worth-
off.
Is that worth, is that worth
Last month off.
discussion?
I mean, I like the opinion of we had last month off. I think that was our vacation.
Shall we vote? Let's vote. All in favor of meeting next month?
Aye.
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 You won't be, aye. But- Was your vote all against? You
Nay.
already said it, Bill.
I'll be against it, but it's your
I thought you were just for it a minute ago.
What, the meeting?
Yeah.
I can do anything, but if
Okay.
the town council is off.
Okay, so, motion carries 5-2. Good. So, set agenda for next meeting.
We had the Sea Grant Resiliency. You wanted to slide back?
Yep.
And how to spend the money from Fort Myers Community Foundation.
See, grant. Let's see. And, why don't we just, okay. Community Foundation, donation,
Right.
and, okay. And, on the initiative lists, shall we, do we need another item? I'll tell you what's up on our initiative list. Actually, we're going through this pretty well. Same projects, competition.
Well, was there any settlement on expanding the dune vegetation list?
We recommended it to town council.
Right.
Right. So we don't have to do anything else on that, right?
No? They want to direct staff to, yeah.
Okay.
C-zone protections, so mangrove protections were technically to be on last month's agenda as the next initiative item. Is that worthy of pursuing?
Oh, sure, Matt. That would be our third, and that's plenty for an agenda.
BC zone's done.
Real quick, it is sea turtle friendly. But the Sea Turtle Conservancy sees the pink shell as sea turtle friendly.
Accredited.
That's more than one feather in their cap.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, by consensus, we have Sea Grant Resiliency, Community Donation, brainstorming, and mangrove protections. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Spaletta, second by, whoa, Adderholt,
My
I'm sorry, Altoff. Meeting adjourned 11:50.
And I missed them.